Hi, everybody. Welcome to Application Now. My name is Itai Sharfi. I work a lot with different people, including students, about their tech applications. I'm a professor at Cal State Fullerton, teaching computer science. I'm also working at Google, and in this 20 minutes session, we're going to talk with a student at Cal State Fullerton about how to start a career after um, graduating. And do I say your name correctly, Shwetna?
Yeah, you're saying it correctly.
Okay, so maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself and where do you stand, and then finish with how can I help?
Okay, so my name is Shwetank Singh, and I'm currently in my second semester of my master's in computer science degree. I'm currently having a GPA of 4.0 out of 4.0. And before coming here to US, I've been working as a software developer back in India for 1 year, and I've worked on many other internships too. And for now, my ultimate goal was to find a summer internship, but there were certain like circumstances and difficulties for me to find an internship here over here. So now, from moving from internships, I have to look for jobs, which will start from next year of May or maybe June of 2026. So I have a phase of 1 year, and I need to know like how should I strategically plan out things so that I can get the best out of my job finding thing, and I can also get a job in some good top shot companies.
Okay, so let me just recap. You have 1 year of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I assume your bachelor was in computer science
Oh,
before.
yes.
You have a bachelor in computer science from India. You worked in India for a year in computer
Yeah.
science.
Mm-hmm.
Then you moved to the US.
Mm-hmm.
In the US, you have a master in
Mm-hmm.
computer science from Cal State Fullerton, which is a known university. Um, then something happened and you didn't do internships.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to graduate soon. You're
Next
on
year.
an F1 visa,
Exactly.
and you're looking for what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And F1, this is for all the listener. I'm not an immigration lawyer. Everything that I say is based on my understanding. Please go check with your immigration lawyer or immigration advisor. The university would be good at helping that. I used to be also a student back in the days on visa, and I know that those things are very complicated. So we'll talk kind of in general terms, and that's not immigration advice. Okay, so and then you have an F1. My understanding is F1 is three stages. There is like the first kind of 90 days, then there is like a 1 year
Then it's a 2 year.
or like an OPT, and then it's like a 3 year. But then the second year sometimes it's like OPT STEM or something, which is a bit
Yeah. Yes.
nuanced. So it's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
two-stage thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's start. I'm going to tell you my thoughts now. And the first thing is that my understanding is that the OPT is not tied to a specific employer.
Mm-hmm.
So what it means is you just need something to trigger it, which is this 90 days, something to trigger it, and then you can do work. Now, that's something that trigger it, my understanding, could be either an internship
Mm-hmm.
or a full-time. According to my understanding, I'm not even sure if it needs to be paid.
So let's say if you're using the CPT part, which is the curricular practical training, which is the part of F1 visa.
Mhm.
So for these, like different universities have different kind of rules. So for our university, for my university where I'm studying, there's a condition that if you're doing a CPT, then it has to be paid. You can't do unpaid internships over here.
Excellent. Okay, so it needs to be paid. Does it?
Mhm.
It needs to be paid. If I remember correctly, it also needs to be like an employee paid.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now that means that restricts you. That you would have to, but you could do an internship, but a paid internship,
Hmm.
and the
Exactly.
paid internship would trigger it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So from an immigration perspective, there's nothing preventing you from a paid internship.
Hmm.
Okay, excellent. Now, let's talk about full-time versus internship, because you have two ways to go from this point. The first is If you go to full time, of course, that's something that would be ideal. You just find your full time job. A lot of students at Cal State Fullerton, my students with similar experience to you would be what I call a junior
I see.
software engineer.
Hmm.
Junior used to be no experience, only bachelor. Junior today usually mean plus master degree plus 1 year, because junior kind of move to say some experience, then no experience, right? So the training
Hmm.
usually doesn't come from zero. This is a symptom of the market and the difficulties of the market, where basically junior people now have experience.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about this for a second. A lot of the classmates got full-time job. So what do you see challenges at looking just for full-time jobs before we go down the internship route?
So the biggest and the major challenge that is for me is like there are certain employers who just completely say on their website that they are not going to sponsor any kind of visas for someone who is from an international background. So let's say if I'm going for a job and I'm on my OPT, eventually that OPT will like exhaust out and I have to be on H1B visa. And so some employers don't hire those people who are on a visa because they have to like face the hassle of filing their H1B again and again and again until they got the H1B. The second thing is um, that I personally feel that is difficult for me is the constant changes in the market. Though it is a nice thing, like changes are necessary for building and moving forward. But to keep up with those changes is something which I am personally struggling with because let's say I'm working on a when I was working back in India, I was around the crypto blockchain space. Then I moved to US, and suddenly the blockchain space is gone, and now we are into AI phase. And suddenly next year there will be a different phase.
So I think you mentioned a couple of different things here. So let
Hmm.
me recap. The first is a concern that after these 3 years, maybe there's going to be issue with staying on an H-1B or something else.
Hmm.
Given the immigration changes and everything that happens in the market, who knows what will happen in 3 years? So I would not worry too much about that, because I would say the first is, well, worst case, you got 3 years of experience, and
Hmm.
then, maybe you find another route, and that's okay. That happens. With immigration, you never know what will happen long term.
Hmm.
So I think that if you worked for years at places that you like, that's good. The second thing is, so the first thing, you work to places that you like, that's all good. The second thing is regarding um, there are almost no maybe employers that are interested in sponsoring. So when you apply to most employers in the US, they will ask you two questions. First, can you legally work?
Hmm.
Okay, which if you can, you can. Second, would you need from us, from them, visa sponsorship in the future? Okay. Now, there are many other students of mine, I taught hundreds by today, in similar situation to yours. Um, those students got got jobs. So
Hmm.
I know people who ended up in Amazon.
Hmm.
People who ended up at like very good companies. So
Matter, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So even the large companies, somehow, for those students, which are exactly the same status of you, and if you
Hmm.
search at LinkedIn, you will see, ended up hiring them. And I think that leads to two things. First, it's possible, evidently.
Hmm.
Second, um, you don't know what the market is going to be like a year or two from now. I had a post where I explained why the market is in a downturn. Many of the reasons for the downturns are temporary. Overhiring of large tech during
Hmm.
Corona, it's temporary. Areas like interest rate. Why
Hmm.
interest rates are high? Are high due to inflation. Inflation is going down, it looks like it. So at least hopefully, so temporary. So all of those things together means that first you can find, probably, looking
Mhm.
at your classmate. You mentioned a GPA 4.0, you mentioned software experience, double major. Your situation is not worse than others. So I think that statistically you should be able to find a full-time job, and that's probably what I would maybe recommend to look at. Now, regarding the if you cannot find a full-time job, that's an if. Should you take an internship? And I think that yes. Remember that a lot of internship, and again, this is not immigration advice. Remember that a lot of internship could also be part-time.
Mhm.
You can take an internship, paid internship, if it's like whatever, $20. I think the minimum wage in California is 16.50.
Yeah.
So you could take an internship, $20, just get good experience from somebody talented who's willing to invest in you. And then
Mhm.
use that internship as an experience to either convert into that company, maybe to full-time or to another company. And you're kind of in the game. What you want to avoid is kind of sitting for this 90 days or more, doing nothing,
Exactly.
and then running into issues. Now let's talk about, I posted in the past about getting internships on my blog.
Mhm.
Getting internship is not difficult. Getting internship is somebody that you prove that worth the whatever, $20
Mhm.
for whatever minimum number of hours you need to work at.
Mhm.
I mean, it's that simple.
Also, like, can I ask one question? So let's say I'm looking for jobs in next year, maybe like after my graduation, maybe on the month of June, May, or mid of May. Is it the right time I should start applying for jobs, or I should wait for a certain time and then again start applying to jobs?
So you mean, should you apply close to graduation date?
Yeah, or right now.
Okay, so let's say this. Let's assume that you want to work in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And let's assume that there is somebody who has a crypto company, a small crypto company.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, oh, that's like really awesome. I really want to work with that person.
Mm-hmm.
If you network with this person, you network in advance
Mm-hmm.
because the position is not going to be exactly at your time of graduation. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure to be on the radar. The second thing is if you um, uh, um, want to get an internship in crypto,
Mm-hmm.
then you should do it before the full time. Then you should do it before graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know which opportunities might come. So I think that networking, I think that internship should be before. Now, regarding jobs, it used to be that people would hire people in advance. At this market, if you will see people on LinkedIn, when they open a position within a day, there's like 400 applications,
Mm-hmm.
which means that if the position is open for a week, if you include outside of LinkedIn, they're probably getting thousands, like maybe 5,000, 8,000.
Exactly.
So why would they open so much in advance? So I would assume that maybe a month or two before, that's the point where people are like starting to open it. That's maybe the thought. Also, remember that when you apply, you need to be available to work.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many. I mean, there's maybe some. There's not that many positions that says starting date in the future. Now, if you cannot start, then
Don't apply.
it's a problem.
Yeah.
So I would say probably close, but do the work before. One advice that I have to people is focus. Focus on an industry. Focus on a role. So let me explain what it means. You said crypto.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that own company in crypto. They got
Mm-hmm.
funding. One of them is worth over, I think, over $1 billion. So there are companies in crypto that are growing. That's
Mm-hmm.
very real. So what it means is if this is something that you want to do, there are companies in this space that's growing.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I would say is don't try and kind of maybe move by the latest, hottest thing. I think that if you're committed and you network your way, that could be a very good way to find employment. The second is about your role. Be clear. Are you a DevOps? Are you a backend? Are you a front end?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you? and try to commit to that path. Because if you're going to say, hey, I am a backend cloud
Mhm.
in crypto, then you could potentially break into those companies. Now, you can always take the, Amazon Suite Tree or I don't know, Google Suite Tree on this type of generic positions, but I think it's always good to have an edge in a niche.
I see. And lastly, if you have one advice to give me regarding the job search and everything, what it would be? Like the ultimate advice.
The ultimate advice is know the game. You can It's very hard to win a game you don't understand.
Hmm.
So learn about this. The people sometimes think that doing one more lead code or one more I don't know, one more application is going to be the thing that will make a difference. The truth is that I can tell you, as somebody who specializes in this, that in many cases people don't understand the game. Don't understand the game is like, even with the right approach. So let me give you an example, okay? When there are thousands of people applying,
Hmm.
how do you get yourself to the top 1%? When you are targeting a company,
Hmm.
how do you position yourself, right?
Hmm.
When you um, when you network, how do you network? Who do you even network with? Like, a lot of people, they try to network for people to hire them, but they don't really network for reference or network for even understanding of what's
Hmm.
going on. So kind of develop methodology.
Hmm.
Like internship, people don't understand what internships are actually like. There are
Hmm.
two types of internships. There is big corp internships,
Hmm.
which are very structured, and there is small corp internship. Big corp
Hmm.
internship, that's the process thing that you apply 6 months in advance or something like that. Those are
Hmm.
very competitive. Small corp internship is just somebody who has a company and feels like you can go to somebody who, let's say, has a startup,
Hmm.
and they can hire you just because they feel like hiring you. Like,
Hmm.
it's that simple.
Hmm.
They can make the decisions on the spot. And if they're like, whatever, $20, or whatever, that's kind of how they think, right? So it's
Hmm.
even understanding what the game is that you're playing. Like, one of the things that you told me is that, oh, like, I'm really passionate for crypto, very interested in crypto.
Hmm.
I love crypto, but AI is harder, so maybe I'll do something in AI. So I would say this is something like, again, the game is played. If you don't have an edge in AI, but you have a strong edge in crypto, go with crypto. Maybe it looks like there is less opportunities,
Hmm.
but the chance of you to be a top 1% is much greater, or top 5%.
Hmm.
Because in AI, I don't know, maybe you haven't done much in AI, you don't really understand the companies. And again, whatever is hot, it's hot for everybody.
Hmm.
So everybody would go there. Now, I'm not saying don't go to AI for those the listeners. I'm just saying, if you're big in crypto, just go with what you're good at, or what you actually want to do, or at least try to break through.
Hmm.
And I would
That.
say in general, like, another thing is, try, like, not to be pessimistic where there is no evidence for being pessimistic. There's many scenarios in life where a person needs to be pessimistic.
Hmm.
I would say, regarding the visas, for example, and the ability of people that come to the US just like you to find a job, evidently, I look at my class, which are the same people as you, and they found job. Not everybody, maybe 50% found good jobs.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean,
There's a scope.
statistically, if
Yeah.
you are average, should be able to find a job.
Hmm. I
Does that
see.
make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That are
And the
all the
market is not
questions.
becoming, and the market is not becoming worse. I would say
Mm.
the market is maybe flat or maybe even improving a bit.
Yeah. As compared to what has happened in the past few years, I guess it's in a little better condition now.
I think the hiring usually goes by optimism towards the future
Mm-hmm.
and supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
The big tech layoffs, kind of many of them I think were observed. There are still unemployed people, but many of them got absorbed into companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and you see more and more like companies like startups getting bought, like Wiz getting bought like big money. So that
Mm-hmm.
encourages people to invest. I
Mm-hmm.
think overall things trending a bit upwards. So you should have it maybe equal or a bit better than people from previous graduation,
Mm-hmm.
and they found a job.
Let's see.
On average, of course, there's always people did, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like these were the only questions that I had for you because I was like struggling to find some perfect solid answer in this particular domain. There were some answers over internet and all, but they were like highly influenced and all. So there was no like complete unbiasedness over there.
One advice for you,
Mm-hmm.
I said maybe this is for maybe the last tip. I said know how the game is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know because you haven't fully played it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are people who graduated
Mm-hmm.
from Cal State Fullerton alumni at
Mm-hmm.
this market and found a job. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could, I would suggest one thing you can do. I interviewed a couple of them here. I interviewed people just like you with their videos on YouTube that they are
Mm-hmm.
working at those companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing that you can do is um, people, alumni, especially recent alumni, they like to help.
Mm-hmm.
You could always suggest, hey, I'll get a group together and just talk with us about the process.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, I would say you don't make it just about you. Bring other people, like just share it,
Mm-hmm.
and just get a couple of alarms and just, hey, tell me, what was the process, what was it like, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and if
Mm-hmm.
you have specific concerns about maybe visas, about other things, like just ask them,
Yeah.
and that way you will understand what is even the game and how it works,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's going to be so much easier for you. Because a lot of those people that got those premier jobs,
Mm-hmm.
they were unemployed for several months before they got them. And they had to realize something. I know at least two of my students that were, um, I think they were unemployed for like 6 months or something like that. Unemployed, I mean, like, maybe they had an internship or something else. I'm not sure. But for 6 months, and then they found a good job.
Yeah.
So that is something that you need to, like, maybe you can learn from. Because you see, they went through a phase where they had to learn
Mm-hmm.
how things actually work, and then they were
Mm-hmm.
successful. So
Yeah.
that's my tip. Know the game, talk with people that played it,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end they won, and then ask them to share. And you can do it with a group, and they will say sure. And it's not hard to find them. Just go to LinkedIn. Or
Mm-hmm.
forget about LinkedIn. Just you know, find
Mm-hmm.
one person, and you find other people.
Yep. Thanks for the amazing advice.
Yes, and good luck. I think that, I mean, I don't see any reason why you won't be successful. So I would say, just have optimistic, do the steps, and it should be fine.
So sure. And
Okay.
thanks for the amazing session. I loved it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
You too.